Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Indiana Overtime. It's been a while. When was the last one that we had? Like the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Banker's Life.
Wow.
That was
a long time ago.
That was. A lot's happened since then, including today's Cream and Crimson spring game, the annual game.
IU won.
IU did. They're not flying the victory flag, but IU won. IU lost. Whatever.
It was a mixed bag.
It was. It was 24-14 in favor of the Cream team for whatever. Basically the Tre Roberson team. The Tre Roberson
Shane Wynn.
Yes, the Tre Roberson
Shane would say that it was his team.
Right.
He selected it.
Technically, Shane Wynn drafted the team. He put it together. Jason Spriggs was his first overall pick, and he ended up getting Tre Roberson. I don't think that was really drafted. Yeah, I think that was just kind of assigned.
And it happened really late.
Yeah, it was like the 20th pick or something. Yeah. Kevin Wilson set up the game, but they were kind of they provided the fireworks really. 141 of Tre Roberson's 176 passing yards went to Shane Wynn. Wynn had 5 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown. He had a 60-yard catch and like a 54, 56-yard.
59.
Okay, 59. Yeah, they were very similar. I mean, they were just both. Tre Roberson kind of aired it out. At least one of them was into the wind. I think they were both into the wind. Which was kind of impressive because we, in practice and in the past couple of years, we've seen Nate Sudfeld has the cannon, and Tre Roberson has, maybe a little bit of extra mobility, things like that. But today, Tre Roberson really showed off his arm, and I was not necessarily surprised, but just maybe expected it to be more the other way around, where the defense has kind of played each quarterback differently. It seemed like a little bit. They dropped back a few more people for Sudfeld, and so he had to kind of dump off and try and find guys. He actually threw the ball 40 times. He threw it twice as many times as Roberson did. He threw it 40 times to Roberson's 22. And Robby, I guess, did one of them look better? I mean, we look at the stats, and Sudfeld threw for 100 more yards. He completed 19 more passes.
He also had 2 interceptions. Though.
Yeah.
One of them being at the half, sort of an ill-advised throw. But, I mean, the thing that stood out the most to me today was the deep ball that Tre Roberson threw to Shane Wynn. I asked Shane, I said, was that a perfect ball? And he said, yes, it was exactly perfect. He said, the only thing I was thinking was, don't drop this. And it was literally like right in his hands in stride, which to hit Shane Wynn, I mean, that ball was like probably 50 yards in the air.
Yeah, it was an absolute bomb, and it was into the wind.
Into the wind, yeah.
Yeah, and it was not a light wind. I mean, it was.
No, it messed up my audio.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it was gusty.
It was really windy out here today, but it was really, really nice. It was like 75 or something.
Yeah.
It felt great. It looked great. And apparently 9,200 people came out for the game. Sure. I don't know if that's exactly how many people were sitting here, but it was a good turnout. It was better than the past couple of years, definitely. And they got they didn't pay, but they got their money's worth, I guess you could say. On both sides of the ball. I mean, Tevin Coleman had a couple really nice runs to start the game. They didn't really want to, because his ankle isn't 110% really at this point. And Kevin Wilson just basically said, he even said this before the game, that he wanted Coleman to play a little bit. He didn't want him to play a lot because, if you're trying to bring a guy down, you're going to have to go low, and he doesn't really want...
Especially guys like Rashard Fant.
Right. And so he didn't really want to risk anything at all, but he still wanted to give Tevin a couple carries.
He really made the most of those.
Yes, yeah, 3 carries for 61 yards. He had a 31-yard run and I think like a 23-yard run or something like that. He looked perfectly healthy. He looked really good. And a lot of the running backs really looked pretty good. D'Angelo Roberts kind of had his signature. He always likes to finish his runs by just like popping somebody. He doesn't shy away at all from contact, but he really maybe showed a little bit more explosiveness than I'm used to seeing from him. Tre Roberson had a 65-yard touchdown run on a read option where he kept it, and just like the whole defense just went one way and he went the other and was just totally untouched.
And he's pretty fast.
And he is very fast. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's, if you've seen Tre Roberson play, he can just absolutely seperate from people and get away. But that being said, there are obviously a couple of those big plays that we've talked about. But you expect that with this offense. But really on the defensive side of the ball, I thought there were a lot of really encouraging signs. Obviously, a couple interceptions. They've kind of instituted this new 3-4, kind of moving some guys around, and I thought it worked pretty well today.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see, a lot of the linebackers. I was talking to David Cooper about what he thought specifically of like the rush guys. We saw David Kenny had a really good game today. He had a sack, and really his sack would have been a forced fumble probably, and depending on who picked it up, it could have been like a pick six type fumble. He came around on the blind side and had a free shot at the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Sudfeld didn't see him at all. He was winding back to throw.
The ball would have come out, and if a defender would have picked it up, had it been a real game, it probably could have been a touchdown. So he made some nice plays. We saw Nick Mangieri make some nice plays. Obviously, a lot bigger guy. Yeah. It was interesting hearing what Brian Knorr, the defensive coordinator, had to say about him. Said he's really the type of guy who sets the edge, and he's a hybrid guy. And my favorite quote from Knorr was, "We're not going to ask him to guard Shane Wynn."
Yeah.
He doesn't really have that type of speed, but just really new. And, Brian Knorr said that they've probably established less than half of the playbook at this point in time. But, I mean, that's to be expected when you look at the fact that this is a brand new system and scheme. But I think the overall feeling from the players and the coaches is that IU really does have the personnel to pull off a 3-4, and they're feeling confident about it. They still have a long way to go, but they don't play until August 30th. So there's plenty of time still.
Yeah, I thought a lot of the hits today and really kind of throughout practice have been a little bit more solid than in past years that we've seen from the IU defense. They were, I think, a little bit better in the open field at kind of wrapping guys up, at preventing, obviously there were a couple of the big plays, but I think they kept some.
And had 3 picks.
Yeah.
3 picks. Rashard Fant, Clyde Newton, and Brandon Gruby.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was, so they're forcing turnovers. There's one point.
And they're doing that without their safeties. They're starting safeties.
That's true, with Antonio Allen and Mark Murphy both sitting out with injury. There was a point, to end the first half, where there were back-to-back turnovers, where there was somebody, I think David Kenny stood up Miles Graham on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And then Sudfeld threw the interception to Newton, and then Roberson threw the interception, I think, to Gruby.
It was the other way around with Sudfeld and Roberson.
Oh,
you just mixed up Sudfeld and Roberson, but
Either way, that's right. Either way, this is, they're hitting harder, it looks like. They're forcing turnovers, they're putting pressure on guys.
The energy was up.
Definitely.
The energy was definitely up.
Definitely, and it resulted in, 9 tackles for loss?
Yeah.
Those 3 interceptions.
5 sacks.
A bunch of pass breakups.
Yeah.
Geez, 9 pass breakups.
And honestly, Tim Bennett had a pretty quiet day. In fact, you could even say
Shane
Wynn burned him multiple times.
He was on both, I don't know about on both of the really long plays, but definitely on the 60-yard one.
And
then on the touchdown over the middle. Wynn was able to kind of put a move on him, get past him. And that's really kind of Bennett's shortcoming, I think. He obviously led the nation in pass breakups last year and shut a couple guys down, but really he kind of bit on some little fakes, some double moves, things like that. He sometimes over pursues, and so I think when a guy with wind speed can absolutely just torch a guy like that.
He was winning.
Yeah, winning. But that's you hesitate to really make large assumptions from these games, but it certainly there are a lot of things to really be excited about. I think if you're looking at IU and looking at the progress that they're going to make, like you said, Robby, on defense they haven't really delved into the playbook, haven't really delved into kind of the finer things quite yet, which you don't really do in spring practice.
There's still a lot of guys to come.
Yeah,
and that's what the coaches were talking about. They're saying, we can't wait to get a Tigray Fields.
Tigray
Scales, Tony Fields. I'm mixing my T's here.
Yeah.
But, there's still a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball that they're still waiting to get, and a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, talk about the running backs. There's, a couple really good running backs.
Yeah, Tommy Mister, who was here today watching.
And then Divine Redding also.
There are a lot of pieces that still need to come in. But the pieces that are here right now, seem to work pretty well together. I mean, these are a lot of guys who have played a lot and are still fairly young, and have played with each other quite a bit. So that's apparent. They're having a good time. They're jawing at each other after the game.
Especially
Shane
Shane.
Wynn. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of he is the loudmouth on the team, and it doesn't help that he was the guy who drafted the winning team. So he was.
It made it fun.
It did. He was really, really giving Nate Sudfeld some crap after the game, and of course David Cooper, who was the opposing captain too. But that's really all we've got from the spring game. A lot of fun out here. I'm trying to think. I don't know if we'll have another chance to do overtime, unless we do like a baseball game or something like that. But
maybe if they go to the World Series.
Maybe. We'll see what happens. But if not, Robby, thank you for being one of the co-hosts of Inside Indiana Overtime this past semester, these past few months. I'm Alex McCarthy, Robby Howard, of course, and we'll see you when we see you.